Okay, here's a good distance, speed, time word problem. The key here is to figure out what they're actually asking for and then figure out how we're going to set up our equation. So we've got two people, they both leave for work from the same place to get to work at the same time, which is 65 kilometers away. So let's just start by drawing a bit of a map here, and we know this whole distance is 65 kilometers. We also hear Bill drives to a parking lot at 45 kilometers per hour, then walks at 5 kilometers per hour the rest of the way. So at some point here, there is a parking lot. I'll label that P. Susie takes the bus at 40 kilometers an hour and then jogs the rest of the way at 6 kilometers an hour. So we have a few speeds going on. But the important part is they arrive at work at the same time. So how far away is the parking lot? So right there I would go to what they're asking. They're asking how far away is the parking lot. So why don't we label that X? So I'm going to label this distance X. Right from there we know the remaining distance from the parking lot to work is 65 minus X. And that's the key to these problems. I'll label this W as this is their place of work and this is A, the apartment building. Now we just need to use the key information that they get to work at the same time. So that means their entire travel time is going to be the same. So I'm just going to write that. Bill time equals Susie time. Then we need to remember our distance, speed, time equation. So time actually equals distance over speed, or distance over rate. So we can use that to set up both sides of this equation. So let's look at Bill's time. For the time between the apartment and the parking lot, Bill is going at 45 kilometers per hour. So we know the distance is X, because that's the distance we're saying to the parking lot, over 45. That's the time he spent in the car, plus 65 minus X, that's the distance he's going to walk the rest of the way at 5 kilometers per hour. Susie's very similar. She's traveling the X distance at 40 kilometers an hour on the bus, plus she's going the rest of the way, the 65 minus X, at 6 kilometers per hour. Okay, so you can see how these are both equations for time, and we're setting them equal because they travel for the same amount of time. Now we just have a simple equation. We're going to solve for X, and that's actually, again, what we want. We set it up so that our X is our final answer. How far away is the parking lot from their apartment building? Easy way to solve this equation, multiply both sides by kind of a common denominator, so it's going to be 45 times 40 on both sides. That will take care of all the denominators, 45, 5, 40, and 6. So when we multiply it to the first term, we're left with 40x. The 45's cancel. Plus 9 times 40, because 45 over 5 is 9. 9 times 40 into 65 minus x equals, on this side we get 45x plus, how can we do this nicely? 40 can go to 20 over 3 by dividing the 2 out, and then we can do 45 over 3 is 15. So 15 times 20 times 65 minus x. Now it's a nice little equation. We can move the 40x over here, so we've got 5x just by minusing 40x from both sides. That's gone. We get 5x. This is 300 into 65 minus x. And this is 360 into 65 minus x. If we bring the 300 times that over, we're left with 60 into 65 minus x equals 5x. And then it's just multiplying out. So I'm going to pause, create some room here, and finish the question. Okay, up here, so 60 times 65, that gives you 3,900. So we get 3,900 minus 60x equals 5x. Add the 65x over, 3,900 add the 60x over equals 65x. And by dividing by 65, we end up with x equals 60. So this is x equals 60 kilometers. Therefore, the parking lot is 60 kilometers away and then 5 kilometers for the rest of the way if they ever ask you that. So it's a good example of having to identify what is equal so that we can set up this equation, and we knew we had to have it in terms of time, but then the actual answer was asking for distance, so create your variable x to represent some distance. Hopefully this is helpful. You can always send us more questions to info@arnoldtutoring.com.